Unlocking your inner architect, designing your mental blueprints for enduring resilience. Introduction: you are already the architect. Picture the last time you truly felt overwhelmed, where the world's pressures seemed to form a cold, hard rain against your spirit, and you were left with nothing but a leaky roof over your thoughts. It is in these moments that we often feel the least powerful, like we are merely temporary residents in a mind built by random experiences, poor planning, and other people's expectations. The walls feel thin, the floors creak with doubt, and the whole structure seems to tremble with every new challenge. But what if you could step back from that feeling of helplessness? What if you could look at the shaking walls and the leaking roof not as signs of your weakness, but simply as flaws in a design you now hold the power to change? This book is your official invitation to the construction site of your own inner world. Forget the idea that resilience is something you are born with or something only a lucky few possess. Resilience is not a magical trait, it is a skill, a structure, a home you build for your soul with intention and the right tools. We are going to move from being a frightened tenant, huddled in a corner during life's storms, to becoming the confident, visionary architect of your own unshakable peace. The journey starts right here, right now, with a single, revolutionary decision: to pick up your pencil, unroll the blueprint of your potential, and begin to draft the first line of a stronger tomorrow. Chapter 1: The Construction Site Survey, Assessing Your Current Foundation. Imagine for a moment that your mind is not a vague cloud of thoughts and feelings, but a physical piece of land you have inherited, a plot with existing structures, some sturdy, some dangerously dilapidated. You have lived on this land your whole life, but you have never done a full walkthrough with a critical eye. You just live in it, stumbling over the same creaky floorboard of anxiety, feeling the same draft of insecurity blow through a cracked window of self-doubt. Before we can dream of skyscrapers or peaceful gardens, we must become fearless surveyors. We must walk every inch of this land in the clear light of day, notebook in hand, and see what we are truly working with. Let me tell you about Sam. Sam was a kind-hearted teacher who loved her students, but every Sunday night, a deep sense of dread would fill her stomach. She called it the Sunday Scaries. She would lie in bed, her mind racing through all the things that could go wrong in the coming week, the lesson that might flop, the parent who might complain, the paperwork she might forget. This dread wasn't just a mood, it was a physical room in her mind, a dark, cramped basement where fear pooled like stagnant water. She had never once turned on the light and looked at what was down there. She just tried to avoid the stairs. This chapter is about courageously flipping on every light switch. We are not here to condemn the mess or shame ourselves for the cracks. We are here to observe, with the neutral curiosity of a professional, the current state of our inner landscape. Where is the ground firm and solid? Maybe it's in your sense of humor, or your loyalty to friends. Where is it soggy and unstable? Perhaps it's in your reaction to criticism, or your fear of the unknown. This is not about judgment, it is about gathering crucial data. We begin with a simple but powerful exercise, the daily weather report. For 1 week, you will not try to change anything. You will simply record your inner climate. At 3 points each day, morning, noon, and evening, you will pause and ask, what is the weather in here right now? Is it sunny and clear? Cloudy with a chance of frustration? Is a storm of anxiety brewing on the horizon? Just note it down. This act of observation is the first, and most profound, tool in your new belt. Why start here? Because you cannot repair a foundation you refuse to acknowledge is cracked. You cannot build a beautiful new wing on a slope of unexamined fear. This survey is the essential, groundbreaking first step. It might feel uncomfortable at first, like walking through an attic full of old memories. But with each observation, you reclaim power. You are no longer lost in the house, you are holding the map. And from this map, everything else becomes possible. The journey to an unshakable you begins with this honest, brave look at where you stand today. Chapter 2, Your Master Plan, Defining Your Vision of Unshakable. If you walked into an architect's office and said, "Build me a building," the architect would look at you with confusion. They would need to know more. Do you want a cozy, candlelit cottage? A sleek, minimalist glass tower? A sturdy, rustic cabin in the woods? The word building is empty without a vision. The same is true for resilience. It is not a generic idea of toughness. Your resilience must be a custom design, built for the unique climate of your life, the specific contours of your soul. What does your unshakable actually look like, feel like, and sound like when it walks through the world? Consider the story of Ben and Maya, two neighbors who both wanted to be more resilient. Ben imagined resilience as a towering, impenetrable stone fortress. He worked tirelessly to build walls so thick no pain could get in. Maya, however, envisioned her resilience as a magnificent, ancient redwood tree in a grove. Her strength was in her deep, interconnected roots and her flexible branches that swayed and danced with the fiercest winds, never fighting them. A historic storm hit their town. Ben's fortress stood rigid against the hurricane-force winds until a massive crack splintered its main wall. Maya's redwood tree bent wildly, lost some branches, but its core remained rooted and alive. When the storm passed, the tree began growing new shoots from the broken places. This chapter is about finding your unique metaphor. We are going to craft your personal resilience statement. This is not a corporate slogan or a platitude you post on social media. This is the sacred, one-sentence declaration that captures the soul of the inner home you are building. To find it, we will do a guided visualization. Close your eyes and imagine yourself a year from now, living from a place of deep, calm strength. Who is there with you? What are you doing? Most importantly, how are you doing it? What is the expression on your face? The energy in your body? Your statement might sound like, "My resilience is my choice to feel all storms pass through me, to bend so I never break, and to always find the seed of a new beginning in the rubble." Or perhaps, "I am building a mind that is a peaceful sanctuary first, so I can be a steady, warm shelter for others." There is no right or wrong answer, only your truth. This statement becomes the North Star on your blueprint, guiding every single decision you make from this point forward. Letting go of other people's blueprints is the most liberating part of this process. You are not here to build your parents' idea of strength or society's version of success. You are here to design a home for your authentic self. This vision is what turns the hard work of change into a passionate, exciting project. You are not just fixing leaks, you are creating a masterpiece of a life. So, let your imagination run wild. Sketch the grand halls of your courage, the sunlit rooms of your joy, the quiet libraries of your wisdom. This master plan is the dream that will pull you, motivated and curious, through every single chapter that follows. Chapter 3, Laying the Cornerstone, Your Core Values as Bedrock. Every single enduring structure in the world, from the humblest home to the grandest cathedral, relies on one non-negotiable element, a solid, immovable foundation. You can have the most beautiful design imaginable, but if you build it on sand, the first real storm will wash it all away. For your inner world, this foundation is made of your core values. These are the principles that are so deeply a part of you that they feel like truth. They are your bedrock. When everything else is shaking, they do not move. Our mission now is to dig down through the dirt of daily life and opinions to find that solid rock. Meet Lena. Lena built her life on what she thought was a strong value, achievement. She pushed herself relentlessly in her career, collecting promotions and accolades like trophies. She built a glittering, impressive tower. But during a period of burnout, when she was too exhausted to achieve anything, she felt her entire identity crumble. The tower swayed dangerously. In therapy, she was asked a simple question: what did you hope all that achievement would get you? After a long silence, she whispered, freedom. I thought if I was successful enough, I'd finally be free. In that moment, she realized she had been building on the shiny but fragile value of achievement, while her true, solid bedrock had always been freedom. We are going to conduct the 5-pillar drill. Imagine the most resilient, authentic version of yourself standing tall. What 5 principles are directly beneath their feet, holding them up with unshakable strength? Is it integrity? Connection? Growth? Compassion? Adventure? Take your time. These are not what you think you should value, but what makes you feel solid, proud, and whole when you honor them. Write them down. Carve them in stone. These are your cornerstones. From this day forward, every decision, big or small, gets checked against this bedrock. A job offer, a relationship choice, a daily habit, you simply ask, does this align with my cornerstones? If it does, you proceed with confidence, knowing you are building on solid ground. If it doesn't, you know it's a risk, like building on loose soil. This process cuts through confusion and fear. It gives you a profound inner compass. This is where your personal power becomes undeniable. You are no longer a leaf blown about by the winds of other people's expectations or fleeting emotions. You are anchored. You know who you are and what you stand for. With this deep, stable foundation laid, we can now begin the exciting work of raising the frame of your new mindset. The most crucial, grounding work is complete. The cornerstone is set. Now, let's build upwards from a place of true strength. Chapter 4: Framing the Structure, Building Your Mindset Beams. With your bedrock values firmly in place, the real construction can begin. Now, we raise the frame. This is the skeleton of your new inner home, your mindset. Think of your habitual thoughts as wooden beams. Old, negative patterns are like beams that are warped, rotten, or full of termites. They groan under pressure and can't support the weight of your dreams. Your job as the architect is to inspect each one and, with care, replace the weak beams with strong, straight, flexible ones that can hold up a roof of peace and walls of joy. Let's revisit Sam, our teacher with the Sunday scaries. One of her main, warped beams was the thought, I am not prepared enough. This beam ran through the entire structure of her week, causing stress and sleeplessness. One Sunday, she decided to try a small act of mental renovation. When the thought arose, she didn't fight it. Instead, she acknowledged it. Ah, there's the old I'm not prepared beam. It's creaking again. Then, she deliberately chose a new beam to place alongside it. I am capable of handling what comes. She didn't fully believe it yet, but she installed it anyway, just to see what would happen. This is the essence of the scaffolding technique. You don't need to believe your new, empowering thought 100% on day one. You just need to give it temporary support. You put up scaffolding, you look for small pieces of evidence, you repeat the new thought like a mantra, you remember past times you were capable. You hold the new beam in place with this support. Over time, as you live into this new belief, the beam solidifies. It becomes load-bearing. The scaffolding comes down, and you have a permanent, stronger part of your mental structure. In this chapter, we will become master carpenters of our own minds. We will identify the most common, warped beams, the catastrophe beam, that always assumes the worst. The comparison beam, that measures your behind the scenes against everyone else's highlight reel. The imposter beam, that tells you you don't belong. For each one, we will design and craft its replacement, the reality check beam, the my own path beam, the learner's beam. This work is active, empowering, and even thrilling. Every time you catch an old thought and choose a new one, you are hammering in a nail for your future peace. It might feel strange and clumsy at first, like using a tool for the first time. But with each swing of the hammer, you get stronger. Soon, you will step back and see the beautiful, open floor plan you've created, a mind with space to breathe, to think clearly, and to grow in any direction you choose. Let's pick up our tools and start framing the life you deserve. Chapter 5: Wiring for Power, Installing Your Emotional Circuitry. A house with a perfect frame and beautiful rooms is still just a dark, silent shell without electricity. Your emotions are that vital, humming current. They are the energy that lights up your rooms, powers your motivation, warms your connections, and brings the entire structure to life. But if the wiring is faulty, all tangled, exposed, or ready to spark, the power becomes dangerous. It can cause frightening blackouts, numbness and dissociation, or devastating fires, rage and meltdowns. Our goal is not to shut off the power, but to become brilliant electricians of our own inner world. David was a logical man, a software engineer who prided himself on reason. He saw emotions as messy, illogical bugs in his system's code. His strategy was to create a mental firewall and quarantine them. He lived in a beautifully designed but dark and cold house, with the main emotional breaker permanently switched to OFF. Then, he became a father. The wave of love for his newborn was so vast, so powerful, it blew right through his firewall. It terrified him because he had no wiring to handle a current that strong. He realized that by refusing to learn how to work with small currents of sadness or frustration, he was completely defenseless against a surge of joy or grief. We are going to install a smart emotional panel. This means creating safe, dedicated circuits for different emotional energies. Anger doesn't get to arc wildly through every room, frying your peace and your relationships. It gets directed to its own dedicated circuit in the workshop, where it can be transformed into fuel for setting boundaries or making change. Sadness flows to the circuit in the quiet room, where it can be acknowledged and released without flooding the entire house. The most important safety device we will build is your emotional circuit breaker. This is a simple, physical pause. When you feel a surge, a flash of panic, a wave of fury, a swell of overwhelm, you practice hitting your mental breaker. You stop. You place a hand on your heart or your stomach. You take 3 slow, deep breaths. In that tiny space, you ask, what is this energy? What is it trying to tell me? This pause prevents a system-wide overload and allows you to choose where to safely direct the power. Understanding this changes everything. Emotions are not the enemy to be locked away. They are the magnificent, vibrant force of a life fully felt. Wiring them properly means you can experience profound joy without fear of losing control, and navigate deep sorrow without drowning in it. You become the skilled electrician of your soul, able to harness this incredible energy to illuminate your path, power your passions, and create warm, lasting connections with others. Let's turn the lights on, for good. Chapter 6: Building Strong Rooms, Creating Spaces for Rest, Work, and Joy. Now comes the most creative and personal phase of construction, designing and building the rooms where you will actually live your life. Too many of us exist in one giant, cluttered warehouse of a mind. We try to work in the same chaotic space where we worry, rest, grieve, and dream. It's exhausting and ineffective. A resilient, peaceful mind is a well-designed home with specific rooms for specific purposes. You wouldn't put your oven in your bedroom. Let's stop putting our anxieties in our place of rest. Elena was a writer who worked from home. Her office was her couch, which was also her snacking station, her worry chair, and her late-night scrolling nest. By 2 p.m. every day, she felt creatively drained, mentally scattered, and physically stiff. She decided to design mental rooms. At her actual desk, she would mentally declare, "I am now entering my focus workshop." In this room, only thoughts related to her writing project were allowed. On her afternoon walk, she entered her idea gallery, where she simply observed the world and let thoughts drift. And for 30 minutes before bed, in her actual bed, she entered her restoration suite, a room strictly reserved for calm, pleasant thoughts. Work was not permitted to enter. In this chapter, we will design and furnish 3 essential rooms in your mind. First, the quiet room, a space with soft mental lighting, comfortable chairs, and a rule of no problem solving allowed. This is your sanctuary for rest, recovery, and pure being. Second, the focus workshop, a well-lit, organized space with a clear workbench. Its rule is, one project at a time, with tools for that project only. This is where productivity and creative flow live. Third, and most critically, the playroom, a bright, colorful, maybe even silly space where efficiency is banned. This room is for curiosity, fun, hobbies, and pure, pointless joy. Why is a playroom a critical load-bearing structure? Because joy is not a frivolous decoration or a reward you earn after all the work is done. Joy is the essential lubricant for the machinery of your mind. It reduces the friction of daily stress, it sparks unexpected connections and creativity, and, most importantly, it reminds you why you are building this beautiful inner home in the first place, to live a full, vibrant life. By consciously moving between these mental rooms, you train your brain to compartmentalize and focus. You end your work in the workshop feeling a sense of completion, and you enter your quiet room able to truly relax. You visit your playroom to refill your well of inspiration. Your inner world becomes a nurturing, organized sanctuary, not a chaotic storage unit. Let's choose the colors, the furniture, and the feel of the rooms that will make up your daily life. Chapter 7: The Art of Renovation, How to Remodel After a Setback. No matter how skilled the architect or how careful the builder, every structure will eventually face damage. Life's inevitable setbacks, a failed project, a broken trust, a personal loss, are like a wrecking ball swinging into the side of your beautiful new home. In that moment of impact, it is easy to see only ruin. To see shattered glass, splintered wood, and a gaping hole where safety used to be. The old you might sink to the floor in despair. The architect within you takes a deep breath, puts on a hard hat, and sees not ruin, but a necessary renovation. This chapter is your master guide for rebuilding. After 2 years of thriving in his new mindset, Alex faced a devastating blow. His business partner left, taking a major client and a chunk of their capital. The entire security and success wing of his mental home felt like it had collapsed. His first thought was the old, familiar one: this is it. I'm finished. Everything I built was for nothing. He felt the pull to spiral. But then, he remembered his title, architect. He walked to the edge of the damage, not as a victim, but as a foreman. He saw that the foundation, his values of integrity and learning, was intact. The core frame, his growth mindset, was still standing. It was one wing that was damaged, not the whole house. Renovation begins with safe demolition. We must clear the debris of the collapse before we can rebuild. This means carefully removing the shattered pieces of guilt, I should have seen this coming, the heavy slabs of shame, I'm a failure, and the dust of self-pity, why does this always happen to me? We do not ignore these materials. We acknowledge them, we thank them for showing up, they are evidence we cared deeply, and then we deliberately sweep them out. They are broken, they do not belong in the new design. Next, we mix our special, patching compound. This is a 3-part blend that mends stronger than the original wall. Part 1 is self-compassion, the bonding agent that holds everything together with kindness. Part 2 is lessons learned, the strengthening fibers of insight and wisdom drawn from the experience. Part 3 is a fresh perspective, the smoothing finish that allows you to see the repair not as a flaw, but as part of your story's texture. We apply this compound carefully, layer by layer. A renovated wall, with its visible seams and unique texture, is often the strongest part of the house. It has a story woven into its very structure. This chapter teaches you that setbacks are not evidence that your blueprint was wrong, they are simply an unexpected change order. You are always the foreman of your own rebuild. With your toolbox at your side, you are never powerless. You are always just one courageous renovation away from an even more beautiful, tested, and authentic design. Chapter 8, Adding the Safety Features, Your Personal Support Systems. A home is not truly secure or livable without safety features. It needs smoke alarms to give early warning, a solid lock on the door to control who enters, and a first aid kit for small injuries. Your inner world requires the same thoughtful protection. Resilience is not about being a stoic, isolated fortress on a hill. It is about creating a safe, welcoming, and sustainable sanctuary. This means knowing how to protect your peace from the inside and being smart about the influences you allow from the outside. This chapter is about installing your personalized life support systems. Anya was the rock for everyone in her life. Her door, both physically and emotionally, was always open. Friends came at all hours to dump their dramas, family members assumed she would handle crises, and colleagues leaned on her constantly. She had no guardrails, no "closed for maintenance" sign. She became so cluttered with other people's emotional junk that she couldn't find her own tools. She burned out, not from her own life, but from carrying the unprotected weight of everyone else's. She realized that being strong didn't mean having no gate, it meant having a strong, beautiful gate that she controlled. First, we identify your official project team. Who are your reliable, skilled helpers? These are not the drama-addicted friends or the energy vampires. These are the people who, when you call, bring a level to make sure you're straight, a spare tool, or just a cool drink and a listening ear. They are your emotional subcontractors, the listener, the motivator, the practical problem solver. Know who they are. Value them. And most importantly, learn to ask them for help when you need a hand. A wise architect always consults trusted specialists. Next, we build strong, elegant guardrails. Healthy boundaries are not brick walls of anger or rejection. They are firm, polite, and beautiful guardrails that define the space of your inner peace. They say, "This is the edge of my responsibility. This is where your problem ends and my peace begins." A guardrail sounds like, "I love you, but I cannot solve this for you," or "I need to finish my own work before I can give you my full attention." Guardrails are not selfish, they are what allow you to be generous without self-destruction. Finally, we weave your safety net, the non-negotiable daily and weekly habits that exist purely to catch you if you start to slip. This is your automatic self-care system. It might be a 10-minute morning meditation, a nightly list of 3 things you did well, a weekly digital sunset where you turn off all screens, or a monthly hike in nature. This net ensures that even on your worst, most distracted days, a baseline of care is operating, holding you, preventing a total fall. With these features in place, you create an environment of sustainable strength. You can be open-hearted and compassionate because you know how to protect your core stability. You are not building a prison of isolation, you are creating a secure, cherished home from which you can engage with the world from a place of abundance, not depletion. Chapter 9, The Grand Tour, Living in Your Newly Built Mind. Welcome home. This chapter is not about more construction, it is about the profound experience of living in the mind you have so carefully designed and built. We are going to take a walk through a perfectly ordinary day, but seen through the eyes of your inner architect. This is what it feels like to move through the world not from a place of stress and reaction, but from the calm, empowered command center of your own creation. It is a life not without challenge, but one where you are no longer afraid of the weather. Your day begins. You wake up and, before even opening your eyes, you consciously enter your quiet room. You spend a few moments feeling the solid bedrock of your values, perhaps gratitude and purpose, beneath you. You are grounded. When a stressful email pings on your phone, you don't feel a jolt of panic. You recognize the surge of anxiety, hit your emotional circuit breaker with a deep breath, and calmly walk the issue to your focus workshop. There, you handle it strategically, using the strong beams of your "I can figure this out" mindset. The old, warped "this is a disaster" beam is gone, replaced with sturdy support. When a friend calls in crisis, you listen from the comfortable living room of your compassion. Your guardrails are firmly in place, so you offer empathy and support without accidentally taking their emergency onto your own construction site. In the evening, you make a sacred appointment with your playroom. You might doodle aimlessly, put on music and dance while cooking, or get lost in a novel just for fun. You are refilling your well. You end the day with a gentle maintenance check, a loving walkthrough. What served me well today? What needs a little attention tomorrow? Living like this is the ultimate reward for all your hard work. The motivation shifts permanently from, I have to fix myself, to, I get to enjoy and care for my wonderful creation. You realize that resilience was never a final destination you would one day reach. It is the dynamic, beautiful, well-designed home you now inhabit every single day. It requires upkeep, sweeping the floors of doubt, touching up the paint of joy, checking the systems, but it is a labor of love, not a desperate struggle for survival. This chapter is a celebration. Look at the breathtaking distance you have traveled. You began as a confused surveyor on a stormy plot of land. You are now the proud owner and delighted occupant of an inner sanctuary. You have not just read a book, you have undertaken and completed the most important construction project of your life. You are the drafter, the foreman, the builder, and the cherished resident. Now, let's explore the beautiful ripple effect this creation will have on the world around you. Chapter 10, Passing on the Blueprint, Becoming an Architect for Others. A single lit window in a dark landscape can guide a lost traveler home. The most powerful and beautiful consequence of building your own resilience is that it naturally, silently, becomes a beacon for others. You do not need to preach, fix, or rescue anyone. Your calm in chaos, your clear no that protects your peace, your deliberate choice for joy, these actions speak louder than any lecture. They are a living, breathing blueprint that whispers, there is another way. A way of strength with softness, of boundaries with love, of feeling without drowning. Marcus was a manager who used to be famous for his stressful, frantic energy. He micromanaged, he panicked over deadlines, and his team lived in a state of low-grade anxiety. After his own mental renovation, he began to lead differently. He started meetings by reaffirming the team's shared cornerstones, values like innovation and mutual support. When a project failed, he called a renovation retrospective, focusing not on blame, but on, what did we learn, and how do we rebuild smarter? He didn't give a single PowerPoint on resilience. He simply created an environment where it was safe to be human, to learn, and to grow. Slowly, his team members began to pick up their own tools. This final chapter is about sharing your tools without taking over someone else's construction site. It is the critical difference between handing someone your blueprint and saying, this worked for me, maybe it will inspire you, versus forcing them to build an exact copy of your house. You become a consultant, not a contractor. You ask powerful, architect-style questions. What's the foundation of that feeling you're having? Or, what kind of room do you think you need to build to solve this problem? Your legacy will not be a perfect, storm-proof life. Those do not exist. Your legacy will be the living proof that a life can be intentionally redesigned. It will be the calm confidence your children absorb, the steady, non-anxious presence you offer your friends, the humane and creative space you foster at work. You become a sanctuary maker, first for yourself, and then by reflection, for your corner of the world. By building yourself, you contribute to building a world with more sturdy, compassionate, and flexible foundations. You move from being a solitary builder to a founding member of a quiet, powerful community of inner architects. Your final and most impactful act is to simply keep living in your design. Keep maintaining your sanctuary. And watch, with a quiet smile, as the light from your windows inspires the people around you to look for their own pencil, their own blueprint, and to begin their own brave, beautiful draft. Conclusion: The Builder's Manifesto. Look back at the path you have walked. You arrived at the start of this book standing on what felt like shaky ground, perhaps holding only a flickering flashlight of hope. You courageously picked up the tools of awareness, vision, and values. You poured a foundation of unshakable principles, raised a new frame of empowering thoughts, and wired your world for the full, brilliant current of human emotion. You designed rooms for every part of your spirit, learned the sacred art of renovation after damage, and installed safety features to protect your hard-won peace. This was not a minor home improvement project. This was the conscious, brave, and glorious creation of your inner world from the ground up. You are no longer, and will never again be, a temporary tenant in a mind built by accident, habit, or trauma. You have claimed your title. You are the architect. This is your permanent identity. It means you will never face your own thoughts and feelings as a powerless victim. You have the master plans. You have proven your skill with every tool in the box. Future storms will surely come, and when they do, you will simply put on your hard hat, survey the situation with a calm eye, and know with absolute certainty which tool to reach for and how to begin. That profound certainty is the permanent reward for your work. This is not an ending, it is the magnificent beginning of a life lived by design. Your blueprint is a living document, one you are now qualified to edit, expand, and refine for the rest of your life as you grow and evolve. Carry this confidence with you like the most valuable tool in your belt. Build new wings boldly. Renovate old spaces with compassion. Remember that the most resilient structures in nature are not the rigid ones, but those designed with flexibility, deep roots, and an openness to the light. You have built a masterpiece where your soul can finally live in peace, power, and joy. The construction is complete. The home is yours. Go live in it, fully and forever.